Hello students, have you ever wondered how a machine in a factory works? A machine takes up raw material and converts them into goods via certain processing. In the due course of time of this processing, they get heated up and they also get to produce some kind of wastes. Those wastes are, however, called industrial waste. Why am I talking about this industrial waste in the topic of here life processes? Of course, they are connected. You have recently concluded with the chapter topic this one nutrition. You have concluded the topic respiration or the transportation. These all were the processes during when the our body machine was working. Okay, this machine was working such a rigorously that our body has to also produce some kind of waste. Our body behaves like a machine in a factory. It does a lot of metabolism, as a result of which metabolic wastes are generated. These wastes may contain nitrogenous components. Generally, these wastes are different from the industrial waste. Industrial waste may be toxic even in the air, but even they cause pollution outside. But here in our body, biochemical reactions take place in which the bigger compounds are broken into simpler compounds, or the simpler compounds are again combined to make the bigger compounds. These whole metabolic processes result in the formation of metabolic wastes, which may contain nitrogenous components. These wastes must be thrown away, as their presence in our body may be harmful for us. Dear students, the process by which these waste products are expelled out of our body is called excretion. So this thing happens in the smaller body in the smaller way, and in the bigger body in the bigger way. If the living thing is unicellular, then they perform this function through the process of diffusion, as they are simple in body design. Their cells are in direct contact with the surrounding, and due to which what happens there, they can do this function through the simple process. All right, but in the case of the multicellular organisms, the living things are quite bigger in surface area, number of cells is more, and there the cells are not in contact with the surrounding, so this diffusion can not be enough to fulfill this purpose. So due to this, how this happens, the process of excretion is done by a well organized tissue or organ system. So a specialized group of organs involved in the expulsion of this metabolic waste out of the human body is called excretory system. These excretory systems may also be called as urinary system. So students, without wasting our time, let's see what our urinary system consists of. The human urinary system consists of a pair of kidneys. The pair of kidney is much organized excretory organ. In the invertebrates, there are different other organs, but since we are talking about the excretion in human beings, it is excretory organ, kidneys. They are the bean shaped organs, which we will see very soon in the next slide. Here the second organ is the pair of ureters. This pair of ureters act as the ducts that drain out urine into kidneys. Next is the urinary bladder that acts as urinary reservoir. Next is the urethra, which acts as a channel to the exterior of the human body, towards which this urine is expelled out. All right, so let's see how our kidney looks like. Dear students, this is your body. End of the chest area, beginning of the abdomen area. So your kidney lies between the end of the chest and the beginning of the abdomen area. This is the right kidney, this is your left kidney. You can see the alignment of left kidney little bit upward and the right kidney little bit downward. It's not the manufacturing defect, rather you can have to check out why it is low aligned. Yes, it is due to the location of liver in this area. So liver occupied this space, due to which kidney was kept a bit low in alignment. It doesn't cause any harm and it's just a normal thing. So here one more thing I want to let you know, that there are two ducts which are in the two different colors. The red one is artery, of course, and the blue one is the vein. Since this one is taking back to the heart, so coming from the urinary system, so it is called renal vein, and this is coming away from the heart coming to the renal system, so they are called renal artery. So this is the renal artery and this is the renal vein. Both of these are connected with the kidneys and internal blood vessels in the kidney, which have got the ducts and capillaries, so they are the renal blood vessels. On the other hand, the tube that comes out of the kidney, you can see the left and right one, both are actually left ureter and right ureter respectively. These right and left ureter end up into the bag that is called urinary bladder. This urinary bladder then opens it with the help of urethra. This urinary bladder is made up of a sphincter muscle. Recall the concept of a sphincter muscle in the alimentary canal process, where the continuous contraction and expansion takes place in the muscle. So we don't go back to that. You can check out how and what a sphincter muscle work, right? Let's see other thing. In each of the kidney, there is the large number of filtration units. Filtration units which are responsible for the filtration of your urine. Actually, the filtration of urine, what does this mean? The purpose is of making the urine is to filter out waste products from the blood, right? So that the necessary substances are not thrown out of your body. Just as CO2 is removed from the blood in the lungs, nitrogenous waste such as urea or uric acid are removed from the blood in the kidneys. It is actually possible only when the thorough reabsorption, thorough filtration of this urine is done. So how it is done? That smallest unit is the large number of this smallest unit of kidneys are responsible. What are these actually? Each kidney has a large number of these filtration units. It is a cluster of very thin walled blood capillaries. Very thin walled blood capillaries are present in these things, many number. Each capillary cluster in the kidney is actually associated with the cup shaped end of a coiled tube called Bowman's capsule. This whole thing is the Bowman's capsules. In here you can say this is the cup shaped area where all these tube end up and they rise also from here and they start from here and they also end up here. So actually this kind of hundreds of ducts and coiled tubes are present inside our each of the kidneys that collects the filtrate. They filter the blood and reabsorb the necessary substances sent back to the body through the renal veins, right? So what and how much of the reabsorption takes place, that depends upon how much excess water there is in the body and on how much of dissolved water there is to be excreted. This is point to be noted, my dear students. Amount of water reabsorbed depends on how much excess water is in the body and how much of the dissolved waste is there to be excreted. So this is the brief explanation of your class level what is the structure of a nephron. Now the question arises, what has to be excreted of our body? So what are the materials excreted by human excretory system? These are under 4 heads. Number 1 is the nitrogenous waste. Number 2 is a gas. Number 3 is excess of water. Number 4 is the salt. Materials excreted: nitrogenous waste contain urea, uric acid, urine. You must have seen many people after 40 often go for urine examination to check out that uric acid profile and content of urea in there, or the color and the texture of the urine, whether they contain some kind of sugar or any other undigested nutrients or not. What they check water and glucose level in the urine. If there is any matter of concern, they get to the doctors, right? So the urine examination is one of the most important examination to check whether the body is suffering from any disorder or not. Apart from this, the gases are also expelled out. Excess of water that contains sweat or urine may also be taken out, and some salts are also. So urine has to be actually neutral. If it is acidic or basic, it is bad for the body, my dear students. Let's go ahead how this has to be taken out. In order to know this, we must know how urine formation takes place. The first, urine formation is actually starting from how the waste product along with the like blood comes to the kidneys. Through what? Through the renal artery. It is brought by the renal artery to the kidneys. What? Oxygenated blood along with the nitrogenous wastes from the body. First thing is done. If you check out the first or second slides where the picture is given about the kidney, in that this is the renal artery. This renal artery brings oxygenated blood along with the nitrogenous waste to the kidney. All right, nitrogenous waste to the kidney, and from here kidney sends it to the nephrons. Kidney sends it to the nephrons. So after this, what happens? The filtration of the blood takes place in the nephron. What happens? There are two steps. What are those? First is the glomerular filtration. So nitrogenous waste, glucose, water, amino acid filtered from the blood into the Bowman's capsule of the nephron. Go back. Here, this filtration of the blood through the glomerulus and entry of the filtrate in the tubular part of the nephron. Go back to this. When the blood comes to the kidney and then it goes to the nephron, in the nephron, this glomerular filtration starts. This glomerular filtration leads to the filtration of three important compounds. What are those three important compounds? One is the glucose, second is the water, and third is the amino acid. These three important things have to be reabsorbed. Okay, and apart from this nitrogenous waste have to be thrown out, right? So this happens during the entire glomerular filtration in the nephron, and that then the filter from the blood into Bowman's capsule of the nephron. Well, go back to the second step. Filtration of the blood takes place through the glomerulus and entry of the filtrate in tubular part of nephron. This tubular part of nephron, now what it does, there is the process of diffusion. If you go back to the structure of nephron, I have told you that these are the blood vessels. These blood vessels are in close contact with the duct. Everywhere you can see, everywhere they are surrounded with the blood vessels. All these tubes are connected with the blood vessel, somewhere with the red colored, somewhere with the dark colored, right? So these are the renal veins and these are the renal arteries, which are in close contact with the help of with the capillaries and all, and they are in close contact with the ducts. So this large number of coiling is actually creating larger surface area that provides longer time for the nitrogenous waste to be reabsorbed or filtered for a longer time, right? So this filtration keeps on taking place through this glomerulus, and then it also does reabsorption of the important things. What are those important things? Important things are glucose, water, and amino acid. Right? Now, after this, what happens? Selective reabsorption takes place and excess water by the surrounding blood vessels takes place. Then what happens? The fluid which is remaining right now, right? After this, whatever fluid is remaining in this whole thing is the urine. This urine is now slowly transferred through this duct to the collecting duct. This is the collecting duct. Okay? This collecting duct actually they leave the kidney back through this, right? They leave the kidney from the common place. There are many collecting ducts in this, many millions of the nephrons are working in this kidney, and after that what happens? This whole nephron opens up from the collecting duct. This collecting duct open from the common place, and this common place open in the form of ureter. Okay, so this is the collecting duct connects with the ureter. After this ureter leads to the formation of leads to the urinary bladder. So here it's written that fluid now flowing in the tubular part is urine, which gets collected in the collecting ducts of nephron and later drained into the urinary bladder through ureters. Who forms ureters? Ureters are actually formed by the collecting ducts, right? And then these ureters, when take up to the urinary bladder, what is urinary bladder then? The urinary bladder is actually a muscular structure which is under the control of nervous system. As and when the amount of urine comes to the excessive or exceeds the capacity of the urinary bladder, then there is a pressure of expansion takes place on the urinary bladder, and this pressure of expansion causes pain or urge of urination. This urge of urination is the time when we often seek to go washroom, or you often seek go to washroom. So that is the time when the urine is discharged through urethra after the urge of urination. Dear students, the fact to be noted over here is that the amount of filtrate formed daily in our urinary system is more than 180 liter. Yes, more than 180 liter, but excretion takes place only of 2 liter per day. This data is about per day, right? So this entire why is it so? Because the reabsorption, because of the continuous process of reabsorption and filtration. This is the continuous ongoing process in our body. So it is our duty to take care of our kidney. Do not eat everything which attracts your tongue. Eat only those things which your body can absorb, and assimilation can be taking place in our body very nicely. Drink ample amount of water so that the blood gets medium of transportation properly, right? So let's have a summary of what happens in the formation of urine and the filtration of this. Here is the first. There are three major steps taking place in the nephron filtration. First is the glomerular filtration, second is the tubular reabsorption, and third is the secretion. Glomerular filtration involves nitrogenous waste, glucose, water, amino acid filtered from the blood into Bowman's capsule of the nephron. Second is tubular reabsorption, when useful substances from the filtrate are reabsorbed and they are backed by the capillaries surrounding the nephron, sent back by the capillaries surrounding the nephron. And last but not the least is the secretion. Urea, extra water and salts are secreted into the tubule, which open up into the collecting duct and then into the ureter. So this is the summary of urine formation through the nephron. My dear students, this is all about the kidneys and the kidney system. The system is called urinary system. Here you have to understand now excretion in plants. Actually, plants excretion is not a very complex feature or process, because most of the cells in the plants are dead, right? So what are the waste products generally excreted from the plant? Waste products of the plants include oxygen or excess of water. Some may be also stored in the cellular vacuoles as resin and gums also. So oxygen can be released by plants through the process of photosynthesis. You had already studied in the previous classes. So the photosynthesis is the process by which oxygen is expelled out. Excess of water can be released through the process of transpiration, or some dead leaves can be left by dead cells of some tissues. And last but not the least, plants also excrete some waste substances into the soil around them. This is about excretion in plants, what you have to study. Dear students, some dead leaves are also shedded out. Let's see what happens next. Generally, what happens to those people who do not cope up with the proper filtration and reabsorption process of the urine or their blood? Generally, when this does not happen properly, when the reabsorption does not happen properly, then some nutrient substances also get out of the body, and due to which it leads to weakness and it causes death of the patient. In that case, what happens? The patient has to go for the arrangement of artificial kidney, and that artificial kidney arrangement is called hemodialysis. What is actually hemodialysis? Let's see. Kidneys are vital organs for survival. Several factors like infections, injury, or restricted blood flows to kidney reduce the activity of kidneys. Now this leads to accumulation of poisonous waste in the body, which can even lead to death. In case of kidney failure, artificial kidney can be used. An artificial kidney is a device to remove nitrogenous waste products from the body blood through dialysis. Yes, what is this? It contains a number of tubes with a semi-permeable lining suspended in a tank filled with dialysing fluid. This, you can see this number of lines over here. This fluid has the same osmotic pressure as blood, except that it is devoid of nitrogenous waste. The patient's blood is passed through these tubes. During this passage, the waste products from the blood pass into dialysing fluid by diffusion. The purified blood is pumped back into the patient. This is similar to the function of the kidney actually, but it is different since there is no reabsorptions involved in this. But that's why there are the two ways one is to this and one is to this. The fresh dialyzing solution is entered in this, and the urine used dialyzed solution along with the urea and excess salt is coming out of. So there is no reabsorption facility available in this. The patient is at bed rest. Once in a week or once in a month it has to be done. Actually, line from the artery can be seen clearly. Normally, in a healthy adult, the initial filtrate in the kidney is about 180 liter daily. However, the volume actually excreted is only 1 liter or 2 a day, because the remaining filtrate is reabsorbed in the kidney tubules in the original kidneys. Sometimes what happens, this dialysis process is very expensive and the lifelong expense. So some people go for organ transplantation. In that case, what happens, the organ donation is a generous act of donating an organ to a person who suffers from non-function of organs. Donation of an organ may be done by the consent of the donor and his or her family. Anyone regardless of age or under can become an organ and tissue donor. Recently what happens, this COVID-19, we saw that the people have supported by donating their plasma for curing COVID patients, right? So organ transplants can save or transform the life of a person. Transplantation is required because recipient's organs has been damaged or has failed by disease or injury. In organ transplantation, the organ is surgically removed from one person, that is organ donor, and transplanted to another person, that is the recipient. Common transplantations include corneas, kidneys, heart, liver, pancreas, lungs, intestines, and bone marrow. Most organ and tissue donations occur just after the donor has died or when the doctor declares the person's brain dead. But some organs such as kidney, part of a liver, lung, and tissues can be donated while the donor is alive. So my dear students, these two important things are the life skill related topics which I felt important for you all. This is how we come to know about excretion in this. Please do give your feedback. How did you feel about this lecture? And if you have any doubt, please put your comments in the comment box. Thank you. Read, review, recommend, see, subscribe, share. Have a nice day ahead.